Hey team, I wanted to get on a live video. We're on our way to Portland. We're gonna go and visit Jem. It's spelled C-E-M. If you guys follow him on Instagram or you follow us, then you've seen that we've tagged him a few times. He's so much fun. He's really amazing. He has some great glute training, and he's just outside of Portland, Oregon, and his gym is called the Lion's Den. His significant other, I'm not exactly sure, I think his girlfriend, she's also an IFBB Bikini Pro. She is going to be competing next weekend. So we're really looking forward to seeing them and learning some new tricks and bringing it back to you guys. I wanted to talk about my food for the day for a day because I know after the flexible dieting live video, just when I went over the true meaning of flexible dieting and what flexibility it's supposed to entail for you, and just kind of some good guidelines. I know that on the team page, we always post macro gems, and I do too. And those are amazing, but we just, like I said, you just want to be conscious that you're not filling your day with too much of that stuff, that you're caring about your overall health and your micronutrients and not getting everything from packaged products, and you're not getting all of your micronutrients just from vitamins and supplements and things like that. So people were asking me to give them kind of an example of a day of food. I can do that with photos and such when I get back from Portland, but I didn't want to make you guys wait that long since we were on topic, and I figured that I would let you know sort of an idea of how my day goes. I wake up, and when my son's here or not, I kind of stick with the same exact routine. Some of you know I co-parent, so my son is with his dad on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Some of those mornings I used to kind of have a different routine, and I sort of felt like it was causing me to fall off a little bit. So a suggestion that I'd have for you is, if you feel like you're struggling to get into a routine and you have kind of a split schedule with a situation like mine, or maybe I have a couple clients that work nights, I would suggest either having the same routine across the board, no matter if it's one of those days or not, that the routine falls into place, or having a routine for when you work nights and then a routine for when you work days. And sometimes we have to change the macro splits around for that reason, because you'll be up longer on the times that you work nights. So with that being said, I like to keep mine the same, so I get up at the same time even if my son's at his dad's, but usually I wake up, I like to set my alarm so that I wake up earlier than he does. I hear so many moms say, I can't get my kids out the door on time, I'm always scrambling. I understand, trust me, that even if you have the best intentions and you give yourself plenty of time, there's that time, I mean, I only have one, and there's that time where I just cannot get him out the door. What I suggest is taking as much time as you need and giving yourself extra. And I know that it can be intimidating to wake up early. It can, you can think to yourself, I'd rather have that 20 minutes of sleep. But trust me, when you are appropriately caffeinated and you don't feel like you're running around like a crazy person, you're gonna feel a lot better, and you're gonna kick your day off. If you kick your day off waking up frazzled and stressed out, you set the tone for the entire day. You're gonna set the tone of just chaos, and you're going to be exhausted before the day even starts. So you don't want to start your day that way, because it's going to be a really long day if you do. So my suggestion, set your alarm a little bit early if you're feeling like you're one of those people that's like running around like a crazy person in the morning. The other thing that I do is, this is when I choose to have kind of my protein product, my little quick thing, because I don't eat the same thing as my son for breakfast. I don't really want to cook breakfast very often. If I get closer to a competition, I'm definitely going to be eating more eggs in the morning or oats in the morning, things like that, that will take time for me to prepare. But right now, if I can get away with it, I don't mind a little bloating from some of the protein bars or protein products that I use, but I'll just have that in the morning. So this would be when I have my Minute Muffin. That's one of my favorites are those Flapjacks Mighty Muffins. I really like those. I like them better than the Kodiak cake ones because they're less carbs, and it just fits in my day better. If I don't divvy out my food appropriately, then I'm gonna be really hungry by the end of the night, and I'm gonna go over my macros, and that's a given. So if I plan it right and I find things that fit a little bit better, then I can get through the entire day without having that instance where I go over on a regular basis. The other things that I like in the morning are the Lenny and Larry's. I like the brownies, but I get I believe it's a 2.5 ounce one. They're 250 total calories, 20 grams of protein, 25 carbs, 10 grams fat. Those are another ones I like. And I have purchased those cake bites. So maybe I'll have those cake bites and I'll start my day off with some cake or something, and that's totally fine. It's my one protein bar product and I'll have that. After I have that for breakfast, typically I get Nolan off to school and then I go and train with Eric. I do legs with Eric on Mondays and Fridays. We do a pretty heavy leg day, and then the rest of the week I typically take his group class that's a full body weight training workout. So that's at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I try and make it to that unless my schedule doesn't permit or allow. On Mondays and Fridays, I also am booked with him at 9. So I work out at 9 o'clock Monday through Friday. That makes it easy for me. I had all different times that I was going to work out, and it's just easier. It's better for me to get in a routine and just do the same thing over and over and over, because once I get in a routine, I just line up the days and I just knock them down. And that's what will happen for most of you. As human beings, we thrive on routines. When you think about your kids, the big thing was routine, routine, routine. I heard that from parents all the time. Well, I've been a mom only for 6 years, but let me tell you, when I didn't have a routine for him, it showed. And when he has a really solid routine, he seems to thrive. So I try to remember, hey, we're adults, but we can still use some of these things to thrive for ourselves. So I like to train at the same time every day. So typically, like I said, I wake up early, I do my morning ritual, I answer my emails, I wake my son up, I get him ready, I have my quick protein bar snack, I drop him off at school, and I go to train with Eric. So then after I'm done training, I come home, and a meal that I typically like to have is I'll make an egg white omelet scramble. Sometimes I add 1 yolk, sometimes I just do egg whites, sometimes I kind of chop up a slice of nitrate-free, low-sodium deli meat, something a little high quality if I can, otherwise I just get the packaged stuff. I try and make some healthy choices when it comes to how my food is raised, processed, packaged, those kind of things, as much as I can. That's in the back of my mind when I'm dieting or when I'm eating for myself. I try and make those good choices for myself. I have also changed my ways a little bit because Nolan is starting to really pay attention to what I'm eating and what I'm doing. As you can see with the Cool Whip comment, if you guys follow my personal page, he totally called me out for eating Cool Whip out of the can on a semi-regular basis. So what I really try and do is show him by example. So the better habits that I'm in just on my own, just by making these conscious decisions, he's watching me and he'll pick up on some of those habits, which I really appreciate, because I've come to the conclusion that he will follow my actions a lot faster than he will follow my words. So I'll maybe cut that up. I really love cherry tomatoes, so sometimes I put those on a skillet and then I make an egg white omelet. Sometimes I'll put a little fat-free shredded cheese, or I'll just use those Colonel's popcorn seasonings. They have a ton of different flavors, and the white cheddar is really good on eggs. So is the regular cheddar. They have a spicy. They have a ton of stuff. So I'll make that, and usually I it's kind of like my second breakfast, brunch type thing. I like to do something sweet and I like to do something savory. So I'll make some oatmeal and I'll put that Fruity Hoops in that we talked about from Devotion Nutrition, or I'll put in some stevia, those sweet drops, vanilla, and I'll put in some cinnamon or some pumpkin spice or something like that. So then I have my savory with my omelet and I have my sweet with my oats. So then a few hours go by and it's lunchtime. At lunch, Eric and I typically have things cut up in some potatoes, sweet potatoes and white potatoes cut up and sort of mixed together as our roasted potatoes. I'll also keep minute rice in the pantry, the Uncle Ben's minute rice, and I'll have brown rice or jasmine rice. I try and make sure though that I get my 20 grams of fiber. You guys know that I'm really big on giving you guys a fiber goal, because if I give you a protein goal and I give you a fiber goal, by default you can't put a whole bunch of crap into your day because you're gonna have to hit those numbers. And I do tell you guys there are fiber supplements out there. Those aren't supposed to be, like I said, your staple, but I know things happen and it's good to keep your body consistent on an amount of fiber. If you don't eat very much fiber and you're noticing sometimes you can have digestive issues when you start increasing fiber or increasing your vegetable intake, I would suggest just increasing it slowly. Take your time with it, increase it slowly. If you're eating way too much fiber, you can also have digestive issues. So you want to be careful with that too. And that's why I give you guys like a range, my online coaching clients, so that you'll sort of stay in there in the safe zone where you shouldn't have any tummy troubles. So then around lunch, I'll either have some of those potatoes, some of that rice. We do the holy guacamole, the guac packs. I'm not very good at making my own guac. If I have a whole avocado, I'll kind of cut that up. I really love putting avocado on chicken. I think it's delicious. And I'll have some grilled chicken, or I'll have, we'll usually have some vegetables in the fridge too that we made. We really like French green beans, so we'll have those a lot. Otherwise, you guys know that I am addicted to zoodles and spaghetti squash and butternut squash. Squash is more of a carb, so I usually don't have squash and potatoes, but squash really agrees with me and I digest it really well, as opposed to the harder fibrous vegetables to digest, more fibrous, like cauliflower and broccoli and things like that. I don't really digest that very well. So if I do eat that, I don't avoid it completely because of the health benefits. But if I do eat those things, I'm more certain I try and make sure I take some digestive enzymes or papaya enzymes or something like that to help me digest them a little bit better. So after that, usually I do like sweet treats. You guys all know my sweet tooth is out of control basically. So I will sometimes have a sugar-free Jell-O pack with a little fat-free Cool Whip. I don't really consider that like my second processed food because it's not, my whole meal isn't like a processed food meal, and it's only 1 gram of protein and gelatin. And I think the Ready Whip is 3 carbs. No, the 5 one is 1 carb. For the fat-free is 1 carb is 1 serving, but it ends up coming to about 3 carbs. When I measure it out, a serving, I barely can even see it. So that's not what I'll be eating. So I'll have that sometimes after my lunch, and then a few hours go by, and around the 3 o'clock is when I really like to have my Greek yogurt or something with Greek yogurt. Sometimes that's when I'll have my fruit. I really love pairing Greek yogurt and fruit. That's another really great post-workout snack. If you're trying to get, most of the time, everyone's having trouble just hitting their macros in general and getting through the day without going over because they stack them. When Lane Norton was my coach for a while, he would want me to stack my carbs around my workout. He'd want me to have a higher percentage of my carbs an hour or 2 before I worked out, and a higher percentage of my carbs an hour after I worked out. You do not need to eat right after you're done working out. You do not have to. I used to have like a protein powder in a shaker cup. As soon as I was done working out, I would drink the protein powder. That's all myth. But you definitely, if you're going to eat before you work out so that you can use it, you wouldn't be eating like in the car on the way there. You would want to eat an hour or so before, because that's just kind of, think about how it would work. Your body needs time to digest and absorb that food so you can use it in the workout. Excuse me. So with that being said, if you had like fruit and yogurt, that's a really great pick. I like to cut up berries. I like to get strawberries, wash them off, cut them all up. I notice that if I have vegetables cut up and ready to go, and the strawberries, even if they're just in the plastic, if I wash them and mix them all together and put like my raspberries, my blackberries, my strawberries cut up in like a glass Pyrex dish in my refrigerator, I'm more likely to eat those, and I'm more likely to pass them on over to Nolan for him to have fruit as a snack. I've been really trying to get away from letting him solely survive on goldfish crackers. True confessions of a mom. I feel like it's really easy to just let him grab some goldfish all the time, and I'm trying to make sure that even though I'm not going to force feed him vegetables that he doesn't like, or I'm not going to make him finish his plate because I don't believe in those things for food relationship purposes, I want to have stuff readily available for him to grab, and I like that he knows that he should be eating some fruit before he would have, say, you know, a piece of candy out of his little stash. I don't mind him having candy. I don't mind him being around candy, because I know when I was younger and when I didn't have it around me, when I would get around it, I would eat all of it. So I don't mind, you know, having that here for him. But having the vegetables and the fruits cut up, guys, that's going to make a huge difference for you, because you're going to be right there to grab it. And having those guac packs, sometimes I'll even do carrots and some guac, and then maybe like a protein shake if I didn't have my protein bar and I just had a shake that night. Or you could do the little hummus packs. Those are at Costco too. Those are really great. You can use those as dip. There's also those Bold House yogurt dressings, and those are really good. So having some raw vegetables can be a really tasty alternative. The crunch, it's really satisfying. It takes you a long time to eat some vegetables. And another thing I like to do is I like to slice up cucumber, and I'll put, this is gonna sound weird because you're gonna think that you would put like salt or ranch dressing powder or something like that on them. But what I do is I actually put some stevia on them. So they're kind of like really sweet, super refreshing, and I love it, and super low calorie. So I'll have at 3 o'clock though, I'm back on my day, I'll have like Greek yogurt item. So my Greek yogurt might have mini dark chocolate chips and some fruit, those kind of things in there. Now after that for dinner, my dinner usually looks very similar to my lunch. Sometimes during lunchtime, I will do a whole grain wrap instead of, and then that would look maybe more like the typical lunch. I know Eric's been doing a low carb wrap, but his is flour, so you'd have to watch the fiber again, and he'll do kind of ground turkey or something like that. So for dinner, typically I do something similar. I'm usually the hungriest at 3 o'clock on. In the mornings and the afternoons, I'm moderately hungry. I'm never not hungry. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I personally struggle with is I can blow my macros really easily if I have a really big meal. And I've tried to condense to less meals per day, but when I do that, I'm still hungry at the same time as my next meal. So for me, it's just better for me to have 6 meals. But you guys know you could do 3 to 6 meals. You'll just want to divide your protein sources evenly among the day. You don't want to have all your protein in one meal. You just won't use it as efficiently as you would if you divide it all out. So for dinner, my dinner looks a lot like my lunch. I'll pick like a lean meat. We have had in our fridge, we typically have tri-tip cooked chicken and ground turkey. Sometimes I make fish, but when I make fish, I make it and eat it. I have this weird thing with that gel that happens, unless it's salmon, that gel that happens on white fish just really freaks me out and I cannot deal. But we'll usually make some fish and then I'll have it right then. Some of the fish that I like to make is I like swai. It's not as fishy, and I've been really avoiding tilapia just because of how they're grown, especially the farm raised. It's disgusting, guys. So I don't really prefer to eat that. I'm not somebody who looks very far into like how food is made, but this tilapia thing kept coming up over and over and over again, and it was just kind of weirding me out. So keep in mind when you guys watch my Facebook Lives, these are all my opinions. When you guys ask about my day, I'll probably tell you sort of how I feel about certain foods. That's not to say that you can't eat it if you love tilapia, and you know, go for it. Just to give you 2 sides of the coin, I will also eat a hot dog. So riddle me why I think the tilapia thing is such an issue, who knows. So I like cod. Cod's absolutely one of my favorites when I'm prepping. That's usually my go-to. I like getting it from AJ's, super, super fresh. And salmon, cod, salmon, swai. The swai I'll get frozen and it still comes out just as good. I'll put it on a baking sheet. I think it's $3.75 for 20 minutes. You can put some Creole seasoning on it. That ends up being really, really tasty. Or sometimes I'll do just some salt and then a sprinkle of some breadcrumbs on there. I don't coat it in breadcrumbs, but just like a sprinkle. The other thing that we used to do a lot are the chicken tenders, quinoa coated chicken tenders. And if you guys haven't found that recipe yet, I know that I have it for my online coaching clients under their starter documents. Otherwise, it will be on the VIP website. I put all of our recipes on there, and there's a ton of good stuff on there. So I'd love if you guys were on that, because I'm going to be adding a ton of stuff, and it seems like the recipe thing gets you guys out of food ruts pretty quick. So where are we at? Dinner. And then after dinner, typically remember how I said maybe like 80-20 rule. If I'm not dieting, I have more macros, so I'd be able to do a serving of Halo Top or whatnot after dinner as kind of my sweet treat dessert. And then before bed, I usually go back to eggs. It's probably more of a habit just from competing for so long, but I make eggs at night a lot. I'll have a rice cake and peanut butter and some eggs. That's sort of a bedtime snack for me. If I do, I'll make those smoothie bowls if I haven't had my protein bar in the morning. But like I said, that's basically been my go-to. I'll probably switch it up. Typically, I'll take out protein bars and those kind of things before I take out any protein powders. And the only time I pull out protein powders and supplements in general is if I'm like 1 week from competing or something like that. And that's just because certain things can bloat you, and processed foods and those kind of powders could potentially bloat you. I know some people have no issues with it, but I just feel like why chance it, and I'll just take it out. Otherwise, it's fine to have in for everyday life. I just try not to make my entire day protein bars, protein products, Halo Top, lunch meat, jerky, those kind of things. I also love cottage cheese. I'll have cottage cheese before bed. It has casein protein. It's digests more slowly. So having that at night is a good way to try and keep you full until the next morning instead, so that you don't wake up hungry. So I hope this helped, guys. That's sort of a rundown of what my day typically looks like. Like I said, things will come and go. I'll find stuff that I end up kind of getting in like a food jag with, and then I'll try and switch it up. But all in all, when I go to the grocery store, I do try and mix it up. Variety in your diet is going to be the most have the most nutritional value to you. You don't want to only eat 5 foods, and that's why meal plans, they're just, in my opinion, not a very good idea, because people will get in a complete rut where they're only eating 6 foods over and over and over. We're all creatures of habit. I know that you guys are always asking for variety. You're like, I'm bored. But truly, we're all creatures of habit, and most people don't eat more than like 10 different foods. They have their favorites and they go back to them. So if you have your favorites and you can find alternatives to some of those favorites, like maybe you get a whole grain brown tortilla, maybe chips are your favorite, and you cut it up and you bake it and you make chips from a whole grain tortilla, and you make kind of your nachos with chicken and things like that. The other thing with a meal plan is usually it eliminates whole food groups, and you don't want to do that unless you medically have to, because there's nutritional value in all of those different categories of foods that you cannot get elsewhere. That's why when you're a vegetarian or you're a vegan, you have to make sure that you're getting complete proteins from other sources. You're going to have to match things a little differently and be aware of that. So for people who can eat a wide array of foods, that's the most nutritionally beneficial to you. So if you go to the grocery store and you see stuff you haven't gotten in a while, sometimes I get eggplant and I mix that in, and I'll have eggplant. With different fruits, we'll get pineapples sometimes. We'll look around and just see, hey, what's in season and what can we get? Going to the farmer's market's really fun for that. You can go to the farmer's market, you're gonna find some fruits and vegetables that are absolutely fantastic, that are in season. I also use honey, a lot of organic raw honey. I have really bad allergies, so sometimes I'll drizzle a little bit of honey on my cottage cheese, I'll drizzle a little bit of honey on my Greek yogurt, or I'll put a little bit of honey on my rice cake and peanut butter. And a lot of the items that I'm describing, it's great because I can decide on the portions and then I can line them up to fit my macros. So I'm traveling today, so I'm gonna rely more on my ready-made processed food items, but I'm not going to make a habit of only eating that stuff all the time. I hope that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with those foods. It's, like I said, it's really easy to get into habits. So if you try and make the core of whatever you're doing, a lot of variety of foods, a lot of whole foods, unprocessed foods, you're just going to be feeling better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have less nutritional and less vitamin and mineral deficiencies. I would highly recommend everybody have vitamin D as a supplement. I think that's really important. The more that I read, the more that I find that people are vitamin D deficient. I personally take 3,000 to 4,000 IUs. I recommend at least 2,000 for everybody. I don't like to supplement push, but a couple of these things will make a difference in how you feel. And maybe we can do another supplement video. I did do a lot of videos in here, so if you're new to the group, you can go to northingtonfitnessandnutrition.com/videos, and they should all be linked there, all of my previous Facebook Live videos, if you want to go through and see if anything strikes your fancy. So I hope that helped. Thanks. A couple of you are joining me live. I know that I mentioned that I will, in the future, say when I'm doing a live video. Right now, our schedule is a little hectic. Eric's finishing up Fit to Fat to Fit. We are just about to launch this new website. We're going to Portland right now to train with Jem. So hopefully in the future, I will be able to further establish my routine a little bit better so that you guys can tune in and watch at certain times, and we can go over topics that you would like to hear. If there's something that you want me to talk about, I love when you guys give me an idea, because some of the things that I think are just maybe it's something I've been doing for a really long time, and it doesn't dawn on me that you would like to hear more about it, and I feel like I'm gonna bore you to death if I talk about something that I think that you've already heard or you already know. So if you guys don't tell me what you want me to talk about, then I don't feel like I can hit the nail on the head as best as I could if you let me know. And when you let me know, if you have a question, if there's a topic you want to hear about, I 100% promise you that other people in the group want to hear about that topic too. So if you can be brave enough to let me know, that would be amazing. So I want you guys to have an awesome Thursday. I am going to hopefully be going live from the Lion's Den and showing you guys some amazing workouts that Jem is going to take me through. Somehow he's talked me into about 5 lower body days, 5 lower body workouts in Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, in like 2.5 days. So we'll see if I make it, and I'll have a lot of good stuff for you all. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.